hopping straight into putting this bathroom back together. If you guys didn't see last week, we did the demo, and that was pretty fun. So make sure if you haven't, you go back and watch that. But we're starting off with some paint. Now, I did the whole room in white. I was gonna do just like a normal primer, but my primer kind of got like messed up because it was in the cold garage. But this paint has primer in it, so I was like, I'm just gonna do this one first. And I did that on the walls and the ceilings. I waited for that to dry. The next day we did have to put some drywall up on the ceiling in the shower. Now I'm gonna go over this probably with beadboard or something because I really don't want to finish the drywall, and I could have probably taken that bulkhead out, but I didn't want to like get a structural engineer and everything and make sure that it was good to go. So if we were staying here, I would have taken it out to open up the shower, but it is what it is. Then I'm going in, cutting in with some leftover paint that I had from my dining room. This is everybody's favorite color. It's Cambridge Green by Benjamin Moore. I am obsessed with it. And for all of the paint, I didn't have to pay anything because I already have it. And I kind of have to use it up anyway since we're going to be moving. So it really worked out. I rolled on one coat and then I waited for that to dry. I actually wasn't planning on doing the trim the same color, but then I was like, dude, I have the same color in a different enamel, like in the trim enamel, so I might as well do it. And I actually love the way it turned out. After that dried, I started cutting the uncoupling membrane for the tile floor, and I wanted to do that before I put the second coat on because I was planning to kind of like go straight from the second coat. After that dried, I wanted to be able to put the uncoupling membrane down and get to tiling. Now, I didn't film this part, but we did have a plumber come in, set the shower pan, and install the plumbing for the new shower fixtures because that was just something I was dreading, and I was like, I'm not gonna do it. And it only cost us like $500, which is a great deal, and I'm really happy that I outsourced that. You know, normally I don't really outsource much, but that was definitely worth it. Now it is time to put up the waterproofing and the shower walls. A few tricks here to know where my studs are once I put the boards up is I put the painter's tape on the bottom where my studs are so that I know. And I did put some blocking in there just so that I would have somewhere to screw in, and I wouldn't have to be like super close to the edge, if that makes any sense at all. Now, Go Board is the best. I love it. There's a few different products like it, but I want to tell you why I love it. This isn't sponsored. It's been the easiest thing I've used, and I'm obsessed. It's really lightweight, and it's like a waterproof foam board. So it's already waterproof. So you don't have to go over this with like Red Guard or anything stinky like that. And you have to get these special screws that have like a kind of a more fat head so it doesn't go through the board. And then I'll show you how we waterproof it later, but this is super easy to cut with just a utility blade. And then you can see that I am putting like a bead of this. It looks like caulking, but it's a special sealant in between each piece when I put it on. We're going to be using that later as well, but that is a really important factor because that's part of what makes it waterproof. I am using a T-square. That is helping me get straight lines, and let me tell you, it's well worth it. I think they're like 20 bucks. So the hardest part was for me to cut the where all of the different like fixtures were basically. So I tried to like kind of measure it out, and I ended up, instead of just cutting like through the middle of a whole piece, I sort of cut it in half. That way it would be easier for me to cut and I wouldn't make any mistakes. I did have to use a little bit more sealant that way, but again, not a super huge deal. You also want to make sure that your walls are level, because if you put it on and your walls aren't level, like you can use shims and stuff behind it to level it, then your tile's not going to be level, and we don't want that. It does have like some sort of fiberglass in it that can make you itchy, so yeah, definitely when you're cutting this and stuff, I do recommend wearing gloves. I just don't have any that fit my little tiny fingers. So it's hard to cut with gloves that are too big. But for any of the holes that I needed, I just used a drill bit to go through. I did have to do that twice because I messed up the first hole, but anytime you do that, just use the thing that you messed up on as a template. And I had extra anyway, so it really wasn't that big of a deal. Now what I'm doing is actually the waterproofing part. So over every single screw, I am putting that sealant over around about an inch around it, and all of the plumbing like fixtures. I'm doing it an inch out in the corners, and I'm gonna be doing it an inch over every single seam. Now there is a tape that you can use that it's like a fiberglass tape that can go over that, but you still have to use this sealant. So really it's up to you, but I do a very generous amount. I'm also doing it all along on the bottom of the shower pan, like where it meets and everything. So I think I use like 4 or 5 of these, but I just use like a little putty knife. This dries really, really quickly. It is sticky, so just like be aware of that. Now, there's a few different variations of these like waterproof foam boards, but Go Board has been my go-to because it's readily available to me and I've used it before. I know I'm gonna get comments being like, girl, that's not waterproof, that's drywall. I promise, it's waterproof, I promise. Got this cute affordable light from Amazon, and I started to put it together, and then we turned off the electricity so that I could install it. It's way too high, and I'm realizing now I might have to get a different one that points downward, if that makes any sense. Anyway, then I got these little like B-board shiplap panels. They're reversible, and I'm just cutting them down to size on my chop saw because, like I said, I don't want to finish the like the ceiling in the shower. So I'm going to put this over it, but I realized after I cut all of these that I do not have enough. So I'm gonna be using the Zalige tiles that I used in my laundry room and in my kitchen backsplash because I got them from Habitat for Humanity for like $10 a box, which is insane. Now, the only issue is they're about 2 inches by 2 inches, and this is probably gonna take me forever. It's about 2,800 tiles that I'm gonna lay by hand. So, first things first, I calculated everything. I pre-cut some of the tiles in half because I know I'm gonna need halves on like every other thing because I'm going staggered. Hopefully my math is correct. I mean, I kind of laid everything out and we'll see. I know we're gonna hit some bumps. We are going to be giving them a little bit of a bath before we put them in. Now, I haven't done this previously when I've used the Zalige tiles because I wasn't using thin set. But now I am using thin set, and since these are clay, they will absorb the water like straight out of the thin set, and essentially it could make it crumble. So you wanna give these a little bath in water, let them soak for a little while. Anyway, this is probably gonna take forever. So buckle up. Time to mix our thin set, so you actually want to put the water in first. Now, I was having trouble with my drill because I literally always forget which setting to put it on. And honestly, I still couldn't tell you. I still could not tell you. But I would just say add a little bit of the powder first and then like mix it up and then keep adding powder because that's the best way to do it to not break your wrist. Okay, now I had my laser level out and I really wanted to start from the middle because these are little tiles. I don't normally start from the middle because I don't like doing that. And they were sliding because the tiles were soaked and they're so small. The thin set on the wall was just not, they were not staying in place. And I was like, well, this is gonna be a mess. So I took those off and then I started to go from the bottom. I was doing this on TikTok Live and I had one of my followers who does tiling for a living. He's like, no, with these little ones, like it's totally fine to start from the bottom. If you start from the middle and they start sagging, like it's gonna be a mess. I only got 2 rows done and it took me forever, and I was like really rethinking my decision, which we'll get to at the end. Now I am hot gluing a bunch of shims together and outlining the room, basically to get some like templates for my cut pieces that I need to use. Now, originally I was going to use marble flooring, like real marble tile flooring, and put the uncoupling membrane down and then go on top of that. But my body was just not cooperating with me, guys. It hasn't been, and it was like 7 degrees outside, and I was just not going to push my body to tile an entire bathroom and cut them on a wet saw outside in 7-degree weather. I just wasn't doing it. So I found a better option. Now, these are 100% waterproof. They are very easy to cut. They are luxury vinyl tiles, and they were giving the same vibe. They were also so much more affordable. I want to note your subfloor needs to be clean, dry, and level, which mine was. And they have the padding and waterproofing on the bottom already. So really, once you put them together, that's all you have to do. Now, while you're putting them together, they do kind of slide around because it is a floating floor system. So you have to leave a gap at the edge. But these floors cost me like $123, and they were definitely a lot easier for me to put together and cut and everything than tile would have been, at least, in the dead of winter. Like, don't recommend needing to cut things outside on a wet saw in the dead of winter. Even though my back still hurts from doing this, my spine is thanking me for making this choice over the other ones. Now, I got to where I needed to cut out the vent, and I put down some go board so I wouldn't go through the table, and then I just cut it out with my multi-tool. It was really, really easy. I cleaned it back off, and then I, like the rest of them, clicked and locked it right into place. Now, it does take some work, doing the click and lock, but for real, these were a lot easier than normal tile, and I will definitely be using these again in my next house. Baseboard time, and I was gonna cut them with my handsaw, and then I just ended up using my miter shears because I was lazy, and it left a rough edge because, my baseboard was way bigger than my miter shears could cut, but I wasn't going outside. My body hurts in the cold, okay, guys? And I didn't want to go to the garage. But the miter shears are really lovely for cutting quarter round. Now, I'm using the quarter round to go over the expansion gap, which, like I said, you have to have. So you don't want to nail this into the floor, but into the baseboards, and that way they can expand and contract as the weather changes. Then it was time for our new toilet. Now, Dustin put the wax ring on the bottom, and you might be wondering, Lexi, why did you not caulk and paint the baseboards in the quarter round before you installed this toilet? Well, funny fact, we were having my 30th birthday party literally the next day, and I was like, there's gonna be so many people in this house, we should have 2 bathrooms just in case, because you never know. And I was like, I'll just paint them after, which I will, and it's fine. A little irrational to need a second toilet for 10 people in your house for a few hours, but it is what it is. Anyway, once you put the tank on, you want to level it, and then when you're putting the water back on to test your new toilet install, chances are you might have to adjust it because there will more than likely be a small leak. So put a towel under and a little bucket to catch any water. We caught ours, readjusted, and then no leaks. We were good to go, so we put on the tank lid and the toilet lid. Now, I am very happy to have a second toilet back in this house, but I'm not gonna lie, guys, I think I might have to get another heated bidet for it because, oh my gosh, my buns are cold on this one, and maybe that's bougie of me, but I don't really care. Anyway, then we pulled this vanity that's been sitting in our dining room forever into the bathroom, and we ran into a wee bit of a problem with the plumbing, but I'll explain that later. And they do ship it with the handles on the inside. That's on purpose so that they don't get scratched up. So I just turned them around while I had the chance because we're gonna have to cut some of the back of this vanity out later, and I was like, I'm not doing that right now, so let me be productive and do this. Now we get to my biggest mistake, which was using the smallest tiles in America. Look, I'm on a time crunch. If I didn't have a timeline, I'm gonna tell you right now, I would have done this. It would have taken me 10 years, but I would have done it. I would have seen it through. I don't have time for that, so I chipped them off. Now, this hurt my soul because I spent many, many hours putting just 2 rows on, lining the first 2 rows up perfectly, because if I didn't, it would have made the rest of the shower a hot mess. But you know what was a hot mess? Having to take these off, and I was really scared I was gonna crack the shower pan. I didn't, so that's good. But I did rip a hole in my go board. And can't wait for you to see that. But you know what? It's fine. We're going to fix it next time. We've got a lot done. We still have a lot left to do, so we're going to definitely get some larger shower tiles. But thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you guys next week when we finish this.